You can turn to the book of Joshua this morning. We're going to start in the book of Joshua. Hey, if you don't have a Bible with you, you might not know this, but you can also always go into the Cornerstone app, and we've got a Bible right there for you. You click on the app, open it up, click on Sundays, and then just scroll down. I think it's the second or third option down. You can open up a Bible if you didn't bring one with you this morning, but we're going to go to the book of Joshua in just a few minutes. Has anybody else been watching these conference finals over this last week? No one? There are no basketball fans in the room. Did they all go out of town? Has anyone been watching the conference finals this past week? There we go. They have been so fascinating to me. I have been watching the conference finals. To be honest, I'm like kind of a basketball fan, but I'm not a major basketball fan. But I got sucked in because we were watching game one. And game one starts, and the Celtics and the Pacers are there at the tip-off. The tip-off happens, and the Pacers get the ball. And I'm like half watching the game, half doing stuff while I'm watching it. All of a sudden, the Pacers have the ball, but before you know it, Tatum gets that ball, takes it to the other end, and they get a basket, and all of a sudden they have it again, and this scene keeps repeating time, and the Pacers get the ball back, they take it, it's like Tatum, Brown, basket. Pacers get the ball back, Tatum gets it. Tatum, Brown, basket. Pacers get the ball back, Celtics get it back again. Tatum, Brown, White, basket. Tatum, Brown, basket. Tatum, basket. Over. They're just straight, and I was like, I'm kind of interested in basketball, but I started sitting up because I am fascinated by momentum. And the momentum of that game started tipping in a certain direction. And I was like, these boys are about to take this whole thing in the first 5 minutes of this game. They could not miss a shot. And the other interesting thing that started happening is the Pacers were getting the ball and they were taking it down to their basket, but they could not make a shot for anything. They would shoot and miss like they were 7-year-olds playing on a full size. I know, that's so harsh. They made it all the way to the conference finals. I have no business talking about that. But it was fascinating to me because momentum is this thing that starts happening in your life. Momentum is this thing where the force and the direction of something starts moving in a direction in a way that it's almost impossible to get anything happening outside of the direction of where that momentum is going and the way that that momentum is moving. It was like the more baskets that the Celtics made, the more baskets they were capable of making. They started making longer and farther shots. You could see their confidence growing. They started passing passes that they had no business passing, but they kept catching them and making them because the momentum was moving in a certain direction, and the more momentum they got in one direction, the more it seemed like the Pacers couldn't get a hold of the ball, couldn't keep a hand on the ball, couldn't make the shot even when they had the shot because the momentum was moving in a certain direction. Momentum has a way of making things press in a direction in your life and move in a direction in your life and keep spinning. It's like the proverbial ball that's at the top of a hill. The farther it goes down that hill and the more it picks up momentum on the way down that hill, it doesn't matter what's in front of it because it has momentum behind it. And the force of momentum has a way of pulling everything in that direction. Now, the interesting thing about momentum is that your opinion of a momentum has a lot to do with what seat you're sitting in. The direction of whether you would call this a positive momentum or a negative momentum has a lot to do with which seat you're sitting in while the momentum starts picking up pace. From the viewpoint of the Celtics, we've got some positive momentum happening. From the viewpoint of the Pacers, this momentum is moving in the wrong direction. This thing had started off going in the wrong direction. And if the momentum is going let me tell you what Phil said to me. We were sitting there watching the game. Celtics, Tatum, Brown, dunk, Tatum, Brown, basket. And he says to me, they make about one more of those, and that Pacers coach is going to call a timeout. Sure enough, Tatum, Brown, basket. Timeout from the Pacers side. Because when your momentum is moving in the wrong direction, you have to do something to disrupt that momentum that is moving in your life. You have to do something to get that thing in a time out. So that Pacers coach was like, we got to get a hold of this momentum, because if I lose control of this momentum, there's going to be no bringing it back. Some of us have allowed the momentum of our life to get moving in a negative direction for far too long. You've allowed that ball in your life to start rolling and moving in a direction, and it is gaining speed, and it is picking up momentum, and the pace of it and the pull of it and the trajectory of it is drawing your entire life in a direction that is not, and you need to call a time out in your life. You need to call a on your life and say, I am not moving in. Some of the food in your life has gotten pulled in such a direction and such a momentum that it is out of control. The momentum of your diet and your habits is so out of control. You need to call a time out on this thing. Put yourself on a 3-day fast and say, I have got to disrupt the momentum of this thing in my life and get it moving in a new direction. Some of our finances have started pulling us in such a direction. They're picking up pace, and the debt is gaining interest, and our purchases just keep racking up, and the momentum of it is moving you in a direction in such a way that if you don't disrupt the momentum of that thing, if you don't call a time out in your life and say, this momentum can't keep moving in this direction and can't keep running in this direction, I need to call a time out on my life. We're calling a 30-day spending freeze in our household. We're signing up for the finance growth group because I have got to disrupt the momentum of this. Your relational momentum is moving in the wrong direction. Every relationship in your life keeps pulling you in the wrong direction. The negative relationships in your life keep moving you in a way that every relationship in your life is turning toxic, that every romantic relationship you get in is in the wrong direction, that the relational momentum of your life is moving. You need to call a time out and get that thing moving back in the right direction. The momentum is moving in a negative direction, and it is going to keep picking up pace, picking up power, picking up tenacity, picking up draw, picking up pull, unless you say, I'm calling a time out on this thing and getting it moving in a different direction. When you have negative momentum in your life, you have to call a time out on the direction of the momentum in your life and take control of the way that thing is moving. Now, if you have positive momentum in your life, if the momentum in your life is moving in the direction that you want it to be moving, if it's moving in a way where it seems like you can't miss a basket, if it's moving in a way where it seems like you can't help but win, that everything, when the momentum starts moving in a positive direction in your life, you gain confidence to step out in things that you wouldn't have stepped out in before, but it seems like I can't lose right now. So I thought I might as well go ahead and step out in this thing. I might as well go ahead and see if I've got enough momentum behind me to push this thing all the way through. When momentum is moving positively in your life, all you want to do is hold on to it. And Joshua has some positive momentum moving in his life. Let me tell you what's been going on with Joshua. Joshua has been waiting for decades for the moment where he gets to be the guy who leads the children of Israel into this land that they have been promised for generation on generation. God has given him a word that he would be the one to walk them in, and the time has finally come, and the moment is finally here, and Joshua says, "Here we go." And he goes up to a battle. Maybe you've heard about this one. He goes to a place called Jericho, and they walk around a wall, and they walk around a wall, and they keep walking around this wall until their shouts bring the wall down, and they totally overtake the place of Jericho. And then they move on to their next battle, a place called Ai, and it says that they totally take over the place of Ai. Joshua and his warriors have some momentum building behind them on their way to where they are going. It seems like they're picking up pace, and they almost get distracted in it. They almost get taken off kilter, because when you start picking up momentum, it will draw attention to you in ways that you have not had attention before. And there's this group called the Gibeonites that come to Joshua and his leaders, and they say and they pretend and they go in this scheme that they're people from a far off land, and they convince them to become allies. They convince them to become partners, and it says they forgot to ask God about it. You got to be careful when your momentum starts moving that you forget where the source of your momentum is actually coming from. In the midst of momentum, your ego can lie to you. And if your ego starts lying to you in the midst of momentum, it has a tendency to throw you off kilter. It will disrupt the propensity and the movement of where that momentum is actually coming from. And they make a treaty with these Gibeonites, and they tell them we'll be our friends, and then they find out that they are not from somewhere far off. In fact, they are just their neighbors living right next door to them. And then, because the other kings and leaders in the land have heard about Joshua and heard about his warriors and heard how Joshua is a man on a mission who's building momentum, it says that 5 of the kings decide to gather together. Your momentum will cause your enemies to rally together against you. But instead of coming against Joshua, they gather together and they come against the Gibeonites, who have tricked him into being their buddy. And they send word out to Joshua. This is where we come in Joshua 10, starting in verse 6, it says, "And the men of Gibeon sent to Joshua at the camp in Gilgal, saying, 'Do not relax your hand from your servants, but come up to us quickly and save us and help us. For all the kings of the Amorites who dwell in the hill country are gathered against us.' So Joshua went up from Gilgal, he and all the people of war with him, and all of the mighty men of valor. And the Lord said to Joshua, 'Do not fear them, for I have given them into your hands, and not a man of them shall stand before you.' So Joshua came up to them suddenly, having marched up all night," say all night, "from Gilgal. And the Lord threw them into a panic before Israel, who struck them down with a great blow at Gibeon, and chased them by the way of the ascent of Beth Horon, and struck them as far as Azekah and Makkedah. And they fled before Israel. While they were going down the ascent of Beth Horon, the Lord threw down large hailstones from heaven on them, and from the Azekah they died, and there were more who died because of the hailstones than because of the sword of Israel, that killed by the sword of Israel." The momentum that Joshua has is taking him into this battle. The Gibeonites say, "Come and defend us, because the other kings have come against us." And Joshua and his men march all night, and then they fight all day, and their momentum is still working for them, because it says that the men go in a panic before them, and then it says that the hailstones come down. They have the upper hand in this battle. When you have the upper hand, when you have the momentum, your responsibility is to maintain maintain momentum. Your desired outcome is to maintain that momentum, to manage the pace of the momentum for as long as you possibly can. And you can manage momentum by your skill. Have you prepared for the moment that you're in? Have you looked ahead enough to say, I see myself someday? Joshua has been planning this moment for decades. He has spent the last 4 decades sharpening his sword and practicing his skill and rallying his men and training for battle. His skill is prepared for this moment, and many of us lose the momentum that we have because we haven't properly prepared for the do you know what to do if momentum comes to you? Do you know what to do if the momentum actually starts picking up pace in your life? You can maintain momentum in your life by skill. You can maintain momentum in your life by the people that you gather around you. Who's speaking to you? Who's talking to you? Who's walking with you? Who's praying with you? Who's warring with you? Who's battling with you? It said Joshua turned to his men and said, here we go. And all of them rallied together to go up and to battle with him. The people that you have around you will help you to maintain the momentum that is building in your life. The ability to understand an opportunity will help you maintain momentum in your life. I think we derail momentum in our life because we miss the opportunity that's in front of us. We don't know what it is that we're looking at. We don't understand the momentum that's on the inside of us. And instead of allowing that momentum to lead us through something, we allow the battle that was facing us to push us back. But Joshua faces an opportunity. It says that 5 kings gathered together to come and attack Gibeon, and Gibeon asked Joshua to come and defend them. Joshua's plan is to systematically move through each territory and each land, picking them off until he owns all of the territory where he can now establish his people. They think they're battling against Joshua so they can take him out. Joshua sees an opportunity that I can take out 5 places in 1 strike instead of 5 places in 5 strikes, because he understands the opportunity that's looking at him, and he knows he has enough momentum in him. You keep backing down because you think the battle's too big, but the battle's not too big. It's an opportunity for you to do more in 1 swing than you could have done over 5 swings. It's an opportunity for you to increase the timeline of what God is doing in your life and what God has spoken over your life. It's an opportunity. They thought they gathered against Joshua to take him out, and Joshua said, all I see is 5 territories in 1 battle. All I see is the opportunity to take this whole thing out. And it says he marched against them. If the momentum is moving in your life, you have to understand the opportunities that are in front of you. And Joshua saw a moment. He saw the opportunity that was in front of him. And it says they marched all night and they battled all day. But momentum can only last until a greater force impacts it. All momentum comes to a place where it begins to lose its pace, where it begins to slow down, where something impacts it in a way that it creates that time out moment. Joshua and his men have battled all day long after marching all night long, and they have the upper hand, but they're battling in a valley, and he can look up in the sky and see that the sun is beginning to move and to tilt behind the hills. he can see that evening is coming, that there's an outside force that is pushing up, that's getting ready to cause a time out in this momentum that he has. Momentum can't last forever. Momentum can't keep going on until it keeps going on. An outside force is coming, and no doubt those who were battling against him were also watching the sun, thinking, a time out. Thank the Lord is coming, because we need a time out so we can go and regroup and come back to this. And I don't know what gets into Joshua. I don't know what stirred up in him besides the fact that he said, I have been waiting for this moment for my whole life. I have been talking about this for decade on decade, and I have been coming to this, and I can feel that the momentum is moving. I don't know why we don't talk about this story more. We talk about Joshua marching around that wall in Jericho, and we talk about Joshua walking out into the Jordan and the waters split for him like they split for Moses. I don't know why we don't tell the tale more of what came over Joshua when he was in the middle of a battle, in the middle of momentum, in the middle of a valley, and he could see the sun starting to tilt the other way. But look what it says in Joshua 10 and verse 12. It says, and all that time Joshua spoke to the Lord that day. And when the Lord gave the Adonites over to the son of Israel, he said in all of the sight of Israel, sun, stand still at Gibeon, and moon in the valley of Ahijah. And the sun stood still, and the moon stopped until the nation took the vengeance on their army. Is this not written in the book of Joshua? That's your receipt for it. It says the sun stopped in the midst of the heaven, and it did not hurry about the whole day. There was no day like it before or since when the Lord heeded the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. Joshua had some momentum, and momentum comes to an end unless some faith rises up on the inside of you. And something overtook Joshua, something called faith. And Joshua looked up at the heavens and he said, not yet, baby. I've still got momentum in me. I've still got more fight in me. I haven't taken this thing all the way yet. And so I'm going to say something that I've never seen before. I'm going to declare something that's never been done before. I'm going to speak something that I've never heard of before. And he said, I said, son, stay where you are until I'm done with this fight. Faith will keep your momentum rolling. Faith is that thing that rises on the inside of you. Faith is that thing that says there's more yet to be done. Faith is that thing that says eye has not seen and ear has not heard. It said no one had ever seen a day like it before. Joshua didn't hear Moses tell him about this one. And Joshua hadn't read this somewhere else. He didn't see this when they were leaving out of Israel. But something came up in Joshua that said, I know what I need to keep my momentum. Do you know what you need? Do you know what you need? I think we don't ask because we don't know. We don't know what we need. But Joshua said, I know what I need. And a faith rose up on the inside of him. Faith, this thing that starts stirring on the inside. Faith is this thing that makes the impossible possible. Faith is the thing that makes the impossible possible in your life. It's the thing that says, I can't do it out of my own strength, but I know a God who can do all things. I know a God whose arm does not falter. Faith started stirring on the inside of Joshua, and he said, this momentum can't quit. I want faith to stir in your heart today. I want faith to rise up on the inside of you today. There's some momentum that's been carrying you. You've got some skill that's been keeping it. And you've got people around you. You know how to see a moment and an opportunity when it comes. But unless you get some faith, there's always going to be an outside force ready to intervene on your momentum. But faith says, I have a hope for something. Faith says, I believe for something. faith says nobody's seen it before, but I'm still going after it. What have you never seen before? You've never seen anybody in your family do what you're about to do, but you're going to step out on it. You've never heard about anybody starting the thing you have a dream to start, but you're going to step out on it. It seems impossible except for faith stirring on the inside of you. Hebrews 11:1, come on, it says, now faith is the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things unseen. Faith starts with a hope. What are you hoping for? What is the thing that you whisper in your heart that you've dared not even say to anybody out loud? Can you fan that hope to turn into some faith? Can you speak to your hope until it turns into faith? There is something about hope that begins to pick up momentum and can turn into faith in your life. It is the evidence, the assurance of the things we have not yet seen. There is something that someone is waiting to see that is going to come through your life if you have the faith to believe for it, if you have the faith to go after it, if you have the faith to say, I know I haven't seen it, and I know I haven't heard it, and I know there's never been a day like it, and I know there never will be again, but God put something in me, and I believe that it's time just to step out on this thing and see what God will do in it, see what God can do for it. The thing on the inside of you just needs some faith in it. Some belief that says, I believe that God can do it. I believe that God can do it. I believe that He's the God who has done the miraculous. I believe that He's the God who has done the thing that we have never seen. I believe that He's the God. I want your faith to be stirred in this room. I want your faith to start rising up in this room. What can you ask God for? The same God who stood the sun still for Joshua is the same God who can do it for you. I wasn't going to read this just for sake of time, but I want your faith to be stirred this morning. The rest of that chapter, it says, now faith is the assurance of things hoped for. It's the conviction of things not seen. For by it, people of old received their commendation. By faith, we understand that the universe was created and the word of God, so that what is seen was not made out of things that are visible. By faith, Abel offered to God a more acceptable sacrifice than Cain, through which he was commended as righteous, by God commending him by accepting his gifts. And through his faith, though he died, he still speaks. By faith, Enoch was taken up so that he should not see death, and that he would not be found because God had taken him. Now before he was taken, he was commended as having pleased God. And without faith, it is impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists, and that he rewards those who seek him. By faith, Noah, being warned of God concerning the events of the unseen, is reverent fear, constructed an ark for the saving of his household. By this he condemned the world and became the heir of righteousness that comes by faith. It is by faith that Abraham obeyed when he was called out to go to the place of who he was to receive as an inheritance, and went out known for those who he was going. By faith he went out living in the land of promise as a foreigner in the land, living in tents with Isaac and with Jacob, heirs with the living God of the promise. For he was looking forward to the city and its foundations, whose designer and builder is God. It was by faith that Sarah herself received the power to conceive, even when she was past the age, since she considered him faithful who had promised it. Therefore, from one man, and him is all who were dead were born descendants of the many, as the stars in the heaven, as the man of the inheritance gains by the sands of the seashore. These all died, having received all these things, but having seen them and having known and greeted them from on far, and having acknowledged them on earth. For the people who speak this make it clear that they are seeking a homeland. If they had been thinking of the land which they had gone out, and they had the opportunity opportunity to return. But as it is, they desired a better country, that is, a heavenly one. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared that city for them. So by faith, when Abraham, when he was tested, offered up Isaac as the one who received the promises, he was the act of the offering up his only son, of whom he said to them, through Isaac shall your offspring be named. He considered it that God was even to raise him from the dead, from which he, figuratively speaking, did receive him back. By faith, Isaac invoked the future blessing on Jacob and Esau. By faith, Jacob received when dying, blessed the son of each of Joseph, bowing in worship in the head of his staff. By faith, Joseph, at the end of his life, made a mention of the exodus of Israel. By faith, Moses, when he was born, was hidden for 3 months by the parents because he saw that that child was beautiful and they were not afraid of the king's edict. By faith, it was Moses, when he was grown up, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to be mistreated by the people of God and enjoying the fleeting pleasures of sin. He considered the reproach of Christ greater than wealth and the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking to the reward. And by faith they left Egypt, being from the anger of the king, for they endured seeing him who was invisible. It was by faith that he kept the Passover and sprinkled the blood of the destroyer on the firstborn, might not touch them. By faith people crossed the Red Sea and emptied out to dry land, and when they had attempted the same, they were drowned. By faith the walls of Jericho fell down, and after they had encircled for 7 days, by faith Rahab was the prostitute not perished with those who were disobedient, because she had given a friendly reminder. And what more shall I say? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon and Barak and Samson and Joseph and of David and Samuel and the prophets, all who were filled by faith. God is writing your story of faith. He is writing a living testimony on your life. By faith, you will receive the thing that he has spoken to you. By faith, you will achieve the thing he has declared to you. By faith, something new will come out of you. By faith, your marriage will make it for the first time in a lineage. By faith, you will have generational wealth. By faith, your business will succeed. By faith, you will achieve your degree. By faith, you will step out on waters and walk in places other people have never seen. By faith, hundreds will come to know Christ through your voice. By faith, healing will move through your hand. By faith, prophetic words are coming out of your mouth. By faith, God is about to do something fresh in this church and fresh in this city. By faith, I declare rivers of living water in desert places. By faith, I declare that he is moving something fresh in your life. Faith is not nothing. Faith is the evidence of the thing I haven't seen. It's the substance of the thing I've yet hoped for. If you have faith in your heart this morning, can you just lift up a shout to God? Say, God, we believe in you. We believe in you. We believe in you. Because Matthew 21 and 22 says, and whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive. Whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive. Don't get it lost, because he was in the middle of a battle. Joshua let out a prayer and said, God, look at me. And sun, stand still. What have you not dared to ask God for? In faith, ask him for that thing. In faith, speak that is not as though it were. In faith, call the thing. Declare the thing, speak the thing, ask the thing in faith. Hands lifted all across the room right now. God, I thank you for faith rising in this room. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Jesus. Jesus, Jesus. I'm going to ask prayer partners to make your way down front right now. I speak faith into your life. I speak faith over your circumstance. I speak faith into your ask. Ask the thing. Ask the thing. You have not because you have asked not. Jesus told them, to the one that asks, he receives. It's the one who asks who receives. I've been convicted over these last couple of months that we don't have the things that God wants for our life because we have not dared to ask big things of a big God. Ask the audacious thing. Joshua asked for the sun to stand still. What are you not asking God because you think it's too big? Ask the thing.